Hey everyone, my name is Jordan Parks from Mendon, Michigan, and this is my In the Bag video. To start off, real quickly, I have switched putting putters from the P2. I've been using the Sea Lion Pd2 for 6 years probably now at least, and been putting with these factory blank soft exo soft links from Discmania. Been really liking how flat topped they are, and I've really liked having a bead for my fingers for putting. And so the putting stroke's been feeling best with the links, so I'm at least starting the season with exo soft links right now. Then for throwing putters, for understable putter shots, I've never been able to stop throwing the XT Colt. Really like these first run XT Colts. I actually have lost probably 3 over the last 3 years. Lose 1 about a year or so. I like when they get beat up and they start to become pretty puddle topped. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that's when I know I really like them, because I just throw them even on hyzer and they're going to flip up and finish right on backhand shots, which is really fun to have and really kind of needed in the woods here in Michigan. For straight shots, I've been bagging this Tomb, this prototype Infinite Discs Tomb. It's been one of my go-to straight shots. I really like that disc a lot. The disc I've been throwing the most, probably more than any other disc right now, is the Sea Blend Ruin. I love this one right here. I've had it since they dropped them, and it was a triple stamped one. I think it's supposed to be some sort of crazy, I don't know, bomb exploding near some pyramids or something stamp. There's 3 of them on there, and the blue one that used to be really pronounced on the top is almost completely worn off at this point. So my goal is to eventually use it so much that there's like no stamp left from the 3 that had on it. I love the Ruin. Overstable shots, forehand, backhand. I throw it all the time. I also have added this Metal Flake Glow Sea Blend Alpaca for when I need a little bit more to hold on to. This is obviously so much deeper than this disc by comparison. So this one I like for forehands and for really just ripping on. This one's a little deep for me to really crush, but I like it for really controlled shots because I have a lot more to grab onto. And so been messing around with this. I haven't thrown it a ton, but I do like what I've seen so far. Nice and overstable, and got a decent amount of glide, so that's been fun. Moving on to the mid-ranges. For understable mid-range shots, I have loved the D-Blend Anubis. I feel like this is a disc anybody can throw, anyone should have in their bag. At first I didn't love the Anubis because it was so domey, but as I threw it more, I started to really see why people have been really loving it. It's very, very straight. The D-Blend ones are kind of flippy. The other plastics, I wouldn't say are flippy, even though the numbers are 5500. They're not understable. They're really straight. Then a step up in stability, I have a Glow P-Blend Inca. And so these ones by the numbers should be more overstable, but at least in this plastic they are kind of hyzer flip to straight with a left finish for me. So I like these for real straight shots. I love the feel of beat-in P-Blend plastic or KC Pro plastic, things like that. I like these slick for when you first put one in the bag, but once you've thrown it a few times, hit a few trees and things like that, it's great grip that I really, really love. The next step up in stability is my Raw, Metal Flake Raw that I've been throwing. You know, I don't throw them a ton, but there was, not this one, but my blue one, I took it out one day and had barely thrown it at all, and I threw 2 aces in 1 round. I've thrown 6 aces over the course of my entire life, and 2 of them were in 1 round with one of the kids in my youth group, Jonah, and so I gotta have one in my bag if I did that. So even though I don't throw it all that much. Then for my most overstable mid-range shots, I have a mortar. This is a Big Germ signature mortar. You can barely even see any of the stamp on it anymore because I've thrown it so much. There are times where I will favor the mortar over the Ruin just because of how different the rims are. See if you can see that or not, but there's a real big gap here in the Ruin, whereas the mortar is just real blunt and solid. So from time to time I throw the mortar in place of the Ruin, but over time I've been throwing this less and less and really just leaning heavily on the Ruin. Going into the Fairway Drivers, for understable ones I have this S-Line FD, and I'm probably going to put some sort of stencil die on there at some point, but this is S-Line FD that's real straight and actually finishes right for me on backhand shots. So like this for the woods and things. Not a great disc to throw in a lot of wind, but really great disc for throwing backhand shots that end right, which is one of my favorite shots in the game. For real straight shots, I've got one of my original prototype Exodus, S-Line Exodus here, that I've been throwing for straight shots. I have a couple different Exodus I use, and this is the one I currently am bagging because I just really like the baby blue and red stamp. It's sweet. This was one of the first discs I ever got from Infinite when they started making discs. So I got this one and a black one. That one's 168, so a little bit on the lighter side, but real straight. Then for overstable fairway driver shots, my Scepter is what I throw for when I want to go, you know, further distance than my Ruin. I take this out. So I end up forehanding this a ton. Recently, it just seems that the Ruin and this are my two go-to discs. So I'm playing kind of shorter courses. I don't need a lot of big distance, especially in the winter. I'm not really crushing things anyways, but really like the Metal Flake Glow Scepter, one of my go-to discs right now. Very overstable, but not crazy overstable. A little more glide, I find, than most Firebirds. Speaking of Firebirds, I always carry this 2015 Nate Sexton Firebird. I put it in the bag in 2015 after I bought it from the Innova store, and it's never left my bag. I don't throw it a ton because I have several Scepters that I can easily buy replacements for, and as many of you know, this is a very expensive disc, but I'm also a big fan and proponent of having good luck juju in your bag, and so that's what this kind of is in my bag. I'll throw it from time to time if I know there's no water around, no tall weeds. I'll pull that out and throw it because I do love it still, but I am scared to lose it. So moving on to more of the control driver category, a little bit further than fairways, but a little bit shorter than max distance drivers. I throw the S-Blend Sphinx, perfect for the understable control driver throws. I mean, I lean on this heavily for even max distance finish to the right backhand shots. Something new to my bag recently is a Swirly Aztec. So speed 10, I believe, so control driver. I really like how far I can toss this. This is nice and flat and pretty flippy, but nice and straight. Then for overstable ones, I've got a third run PD. This is one of my favorite discs that I've ever had, is a blue third run PD. I've got a couple of these as backups. I just love this for longer Firebird shots. It's got a little more glide and it stays in the air a little longer than a Firebird, but this is such a money disc. Then everyone's favorite, the distance drivers. For understable shots, I have this first run Pharaoh that I love throwing. This might be my furthest flying disc depending on the day. Really like those for understable ones. And then just a little bit more overstable, but not much, is my pre-flight number orange Destroyer. This has been my most trustworthy disc for years now. I don't think I could ever take this one out of the bag. I've got lots of backups because I just love this disc. It's probably the disc that I've gotten the most, what was that, after you throw it. And someone wants to know what you threw. For me, it's usually this one, because they're surprised when I throw it on quite a bit of hyzer how it doesn't necessarily like pop up and like ride right, but it just stays straight. Even when I throw it on hyzer and like almost, I can kind of misrelease it high, and it still somehow doesn't just like turn and burn. It finds a way to just continue moving forward and then finish left. Don't really know what I would do without these discs, because that's why I've really invested quite a bit of money into a lot of backups for that one, because I love it so much. Then once we try to get some more overstability, I've got a Swirly, I believe this is the first run of Garrett Girthy Emperors. So a Swirly Emperor that's quite overstable. I don't throw it a ton, but when the headwinds are roaring at me, I'll grab this one. Kind of interchangeable with that is my Glow Sea Lion Pd2. I like having one of these in the bag. I tend to forehand this and backhand this. I don't really know why, but they're just a little more comfortable in the hand, I guess. But these are sweet discs. I think that they're kind of sought after, probably especially if you have one with a sweet Huck Lab stamp or Huck Lab die like this one. And then I also have a Dave Wiggins Destroyer. This is almost exclusively forehand. It's just really flat. It's the perfect stability for my kind of weak sidearm. So I just keep that in the bag because it's something that I've been throwing for a long time, and it just feels comfortable and tends to work for straight forehand shots. The most beefy thing in my bag is a concrete slab. So concrete plastic is luster metal flake plastic, and this is super flat, super overstable. People who throw overhand shots really like the slab. I'm terrible at overhand shots, but when I want to throw something hard and get a big skip, I'll throw this disc. If I want to throw like a forehand roller or something to get out of trouble, I may grab this as well. Everyone can use, even if you can't throw it far, everyone can use a disc like this to get out of trouble. I would recommend grabbing a concrete slab or a metal flake slab. I've heard the I-blend slabs are pretty sweet, but aren't nearly as overstable as these, so haven't thrown one of those yet, but we'll see if I get to at some point. But that's what's in my bag. Pretty simple, just a couple molds in each category. If you want to see a very informative in the bag video, you should check out Joel Freeman's in the bag video. He's a Team Infinite player. He has a lot of infinite molds in his bag. Obviously a very, very gifted and a very good disc golfer, but I love his in the bag video maybe more than any other one I've seen, because the way he walks through how he has different discs in these different categories. Being a teacher-minded guy like me, he actually goes through and talks about how the wind affects different things, how it changes the lineup in your bag. So I encourage you to check that one out, and I'll put a link in the description of this video so you can check it out. Thanks for watching and checking out my in the bag.